Yo, what's up, guys? So today we're diving into something that's been living rent-free in my head for like weeks now, and I know this is gonna sound absolutely wild, but hear me out. What if Gohan actually took control of Majin Buu from the inside when he got absorbed? Like, we all remember that moment, right? Gohan gets cocky, Buu pulls that classic Dragon Ball villain move and absorbs him, and then Buu becomes this crazy powerful Buuhan form. But what if Gohan wasn't just sitting there being a power battery? What if his consciousness actually fought back and took over? This is gonna get insane, so buckle up. We're gonna explore how this would completely change everything from the Buu saga all the way through Super, through Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and even the Tournament of Power. The power scaling is gonna get bonkers, and honestly, this might be one of the most op scenarios I've ever thought about. Let's get into it. Alright, so let's set the scene real quick. Gohan just got his ultimate form from Elder Kai. He's feeling himself, absolutely demolishing Super Buu. Like, he's not even trying that hard and Buu can't touch him. We all know what happens next though. Gotenks diffuses inside Buu, Buu gets weaker, and then Gohan gets a little too confident. Classic Gohan move, honestly. The guy never learns. So Buu does his thing, creates that little piece of himself. Gotenks and Piccolo get absorbed, and then Buu tricks Gohan into getting absorbed too. Now here's where we diverge from canon. In the original story, Gohan just becomes part of Buu's power, right? He's basically just there, absorbed, done. But what if the ultimate form was way more than just a power boost? Think about it. Elder Kai unlocked all of Gohan's potential. Like everything. His sleeping power, his hidden abilities, everything that makes Gohan, Gohan. What if part of that potential included this insane mental fortitude and willpower that we've never really seen him use? Because Gohan's always been different from the other Z fighters. He's got that scholar brain, that analytical mind. He's not just a fighter, he's a thinker. So the moment Gohan gets absorbed, instead of just his body and power being taken, his consciousness is still fully active inside Buu. And here's the thing about Majin Buu, he's basically this magical entity that absorbs people and takes their characteristics. Right. But what if someone absorbed was strong-willed enough to push back? What if Gohan's unlocked potential gave him the ability to actually fight for dominance from the inside? So from the outside, everything looks normal at first. Buuhan is formed, he's got Gohan's gi, his power, his attitude, the usual absorption stuff. But inside, there's this war happening that nobody can see. Gohan's consciousness is basically wrestling with Buu's for control of the body. Now Goku and Vegeta are still outside watching this, probably getting ready to fuse or whatever. But they'd notice something's off. Buuhan isn't attacking. He's just standing there and maybe he's like twitching or something, looking confused. Vegeta's probably yelling about how they need to attack now, and Goku's got that concerned look on his face because something feels wrong. Inside Buu, Gohan's doing something nobody's ever done before. He's not just resisting absorption, he's actively trying to take over. Think of it like a mental battlefield. Buu's consciousness is this chaotic, childish, destructive force. It's pure id just wanting to destroy and consume. But Gohan's got discipline. He's got training. He's got that hybrid Saiyan human determination that let him go SSJ2 against Cell. And here's where it gets really interesting, because Gohan's inside Buu, he can feel all of Buu's power, all of it. The magic, the regeneration, the absorption ability, everything. And with his analytical mind, he's figuring out how it all works. He's literally learning Buu's biology and magic from the inside out. That's such a Gohan thing to do, right? Even in the middle of a mental battle for control, he's studying his enemy. The turning point comes when Gohan realizes something crucial. Buu's power isn't just about destruction. It's about change, transformation, adaptation. And if Buu can absorb others and change, then maybe someone absorbed can use that same ability in reverse. Maybe Gohan can absorb Buu from the inside out. So Gohan starts doing exactly that. He stops just resisting and starts actively consuming Buu's consciousness, using the same magic that Buu uses against him. It's poetic, honestly. The absorber becomes the absorbed. And because Gohan's ultimate form is all about his potential being fully unlocked, he's got the mental and spiritual strength to actually pull this off. Alright, so now we get to the really cool part. From the outside, Goku and Vegeta are watching Buhen and suddenly things start changing, like visibly changing. The pink starts fatting in spots, maybe turning more tan or white. Buhen's face starts shifting, looking more human, more like Gohan. The antenna on his head starts shrinking. It's like watching someone fight off a possession in real time. Boo's consciousness is screaming inside, trying to maintain control, but Gohan's too strong now. He's figured out the trick. He's using Boo's own power against him, and with every second, he's gaining more control. The childish, chaotic energy of Boo is being suppressed by Gohan's willpower and discipline. And then it happens. The transformation completes. Standing there isn't Buhen anymore. It's not really Boo at all, it's Gohan but different. He's still got some Boo characteristics, maybe the baggy pants, maybe a slight pink tint to his aura, maybe those weird shoulder pads or the steam holes. But his face is Gohan's. His eyes are Gohan's. And the look on his face, pure shock at what he just did. Goku and Vegeta are absolutely losing their minds. Like, what did they just witness? Did Gohan just unabsorb himself? Did he just take over Majin Buu? Vegeta's probably in denial, yelling about how that's impossible. Goku's just staring with his mouth open because even for Dragon Ball, this is wild. Gohan looks down at his hands and he can feel it. All of Buu's power is his now. The regeneration, the magic, the energy manipulation, all of it. But he's in control. His consciousness, his personality, his morals, it's all him. He didn't just escape absorption, he reversed it completely. He absorbed Majin Buu. So the first thing that happens is Gohan has to convince everyone he's not a threat. Because from Goku and Vegeta's perspective, their son just merged with the most dangerous villain they've ever faced. Vegeta's probably charging up a final flash immediately, and Goku's torn between being proud and being terrified. Gohan would have to talk them down, explain what happened. And you know Gohan, he'd be all analytical about it, explaining the process. How he maintained control, how he's still himself. He'd probably even apologize for scaring them because that's just who he is. He'd also mention that he can feel everyone else inside him too, Piccolo, Gotenks, everyone Buu absorbed. And here's the thing, he can let them out. So Gohan concentrates, uses Buu's magic that's now his magic, and he starts separating people out. Piccolo comes out first, completely confused but intact. Then Goten and Trunks tumble out back to normal. Then all the others Buu absorbed throughout the saga, the Grand Supreme Kai, the Buff Supreme Kai, all of them. And the crazy part, Gohan can do this because he understands the absorption process now from the inside. He's not just powerful, he's got this insane level of control over the magic. But he keeps Buu's base power and the evil Buu's consciousness completely suppressed. Like, he doesn't release it because that would be stupid dangerous. Instead, that power and magic is just part of him now. He's essentially created a new permanent form that we could call Mystic Majin Gohan or something like that. The Supreme Kai and Kibito Kai show up and they're absolutely freaking out. Because by all accounts, what Gohan just did should be impossible. You can't just take over Majin Buu from the inside. But Elder Kai is there just nodding like, yeah, that's what happens when you unlock someone's full potential. He's probably pretty smug about it too. Power-wise, Gohan is now absolutely insane. He's got his ultimate form strength, which was already above SSJ3, plus all of Majin Buu's magical power. Regeneration that's even better because he can control it consciously, energy manipulation on a crazy level, and basically unlimited stamina. This version of Gohan might actually be stronger than Vegeta was, and that's saying something. So with Gohan now in complete control and the threat neutralized, the Buu saga basically ends here. There's no need for Vegito, no need for Spirit Bomb, none of that. Earth is saved because Gohan literally became the solution to the problem. The Z fighters would all be celebrating, but also kind of freaked out because Gohan just did something nobody thought was possible. Gohan would immediately want to test the limits of his new abilities, but in a controlled way. He'd probably go off with Piccolo to some remote area and spend time understanding what he can do now. He's got Boo's Candy Beam, the healing ability, the regeneration, all these weird techniques. And knowing Gohan, he'd want to master all of it before he feels comfortable going back to normal life. Goku would probably ask to spar with him, and when they do, it wouldn't even be close. Goku and SSJ-3 would throw everything at Gohan, and Gohan would just tank it all, regenerate from any damage, and counter with these insane magic-enhanced attacks. Goku would be proud but also kind of sad that he's been so thoroughly surpassed. Vegeta would watch from a distance, absolutely seething with rage and jealousy, probably having another crisis about Saiyan pride. The thing is, though, Gohan doesn't want this power for fighting. The first thing he says after everything settles down, "I just want to go home to Videl and finish my studies." Because that's Gohan. This power is just insurance to him. Insurance that he can protect his family and Earth without having to constantly train or rely on his dad. So in the years following the Buu saga, things would be pretty different. Gohan goes back to his normal life with Videl, they get married, Pan is born, all of that. But now Gohan's got this form he can tap into whenever he needs it. He doesn't walk around in it constantly because that would be weird and probably scary for normal people, but he can access it instantly if there's danger. The interesting thing is that Gohan would spend these peaceful years actually studying his new abilities. Like, he'd approach it scientifically. He's got access to magic now, real magic, and as a scholar, he'd want to understand it. He'd probably write papers about it, do experiments, really dive deep into how Majin magic works on a fundamental level. Bulma would probably help him, giving him technology to measure and analyze his abilities. This means that by the time Super rolls around, Gohan hasn't gotten weaker like he did in canon. If anything, he's gotten stronger because he's been actively studying and refining his control over Buu's magic. He's not training in the traditional sense, but he's mastering the abilities he has. That's way more in character for Gohan anyway. He's not going to spend years punching rocks like Goku, but he will spend years researching and perfecting technique. Piccolo would still be his training partner when he does train, but now their sessions are more about technique and control than raw power. Piccolo helps him make sure he never loses himself to Buu's consciousness, that he stays in complete control. They'd have this deep bond where Piccolo is basically making sure Gohan doesn't become what he once was, a demon who threatens the Earth. Alright, so now we get to Battle of Gods, and this is where things get really different. Beerus wakes up. He's looking for the Super Saiyan God, and when he comes to Earth, he immediately senses something weird. There's this massive power that's part mortal, part magic, something he's never felt before, and it's coming from Gohan. Beerus would be way more interested in Gohan than in Goku initially. Like, he'd show up at Bulma's party, taste the food, all that normal stuff, but then he'd sense Gohan and be like, "What are you?" Because even for a god of destruction, Gohan's energy would be bizarre. It's not God Kai, but it's not normal mortal Kai either. It's this weird fusion of Saiyan power and ancient magic. When the conflict inevitably happens and Beerus starts fighting people, Gohan would step up way earlier. He wouldn't wait for Goku to go through all the forms. He'd transform into his mystic Majin form and actually give Beerus a decent fight. Not win, obviously. Beerus is way beyond even this version of Gohan. But Gohan would actually make Beerus try a little bit, which is more than almost anyone else could do. The fight would be interesting because Gohan's regeneration means Beerus can't just one-shot him. He'd have to actually put an effort to keep him down, and Gohan's magic abilities would catch Beerus off guard. Like, imagine Gohan turning Beerus into candy for a second before Beerus breaks out of it through pure power. Beerus would be annoyed but also impressed. Eventually, though, Beerus would overpower Gohan, because God Kai is just on another level. But here's the thing, Beerus would be impressed enough that he wouldn't be as angry. He'd see Gohan as this interesting anomaly, this mortal who found a way to reach incredible power through a completely unique method. Wise would be fascinated too, analyzing how Gohan merged with Majin Buu. The Super Saiyan God ritual would still happen because Beerus would want to see it, but now it would be more out of curiosity than necessity. Goku would become SSG, fight Beerus, lose, but Beerus would spare Earth partly because the food is good and partly because he's interested in seeing how Gohan develops. He might even suggest that Gohan try to learn God Kai, though that probably wouldn't work with his current form. One major change here is that Gohan's existence would make Vegeta even more desperate to get stronger. Like, not only is Kakarot reaching new forms, but his son is already at a level Vegeta can't reach. This would probably push Vegeta to train even harder with Wise, maybe even before Goku does. Now we get to Resurrection F, and this is where Gohan really shines. Frieza comes back, he's trained for 4 months, he's got his golden form and he's ready for revenge. But here's the thing, in this timeline, Gohan never got weak. He's been maintaining and even improving his Mystic Majin form. So when Frieza shows up with his army, things go very differently. Gohan would sense Frieza's energy the moment he arrives and immediately transform. He'd tell Goku and Vegeta to hang back, that he's got this. Both of them would be skeptical, especially Vegeta, but Piccolo would vouch for Gohan, saying he's been training and studying his abilities for years now. When Gohan faces off against Frieza, Frieza would initially laugh at him, like, "Oh, the little half-breed thinks he can fight me, where's your father?" But then Gohan powers up, and Frieza would sense that something's very wrong. That energy isn't normal. It's not Saiyan energy, it's something else mixed in. The fight would be absolutely one-sided. Frieza in his final form wouldn't even touch Gohan. Every attack Frieza throws, Gohan tanks or regenerates from instantly. Frieza would get frustrated and go golden, thinking that would be enough. And for a moment, it would look like Golden Frieza has the advantage, he's faster, his attacks are hitting harder. But Gohan just keeps regenerating. He's not even fighting back yet, just testing Frieza's limits. Then Gohan would go on the offensive. He'd use a combination of his raw power and Buu's magic techniques to completely dominate Golden Frieza. Imagine Gohan turning Frieza's death beams into candy mid-flight, then countering with a massive Kamehameha enhanced with Majin magic. Frieza would be absolutely terrified, because this is his nightmare, getting beaten by Gohan, the son of the Saiyan who humiliated him. The fight would end with Gohan giving Frieza one chance to leave and never come back. Frieza, being Frieza, would try to destroy the planet as a last resort. But Gohan would just absorb the energy, turn it into nothing, and then knock Frieza out with one punch. He wouldn't kill him though, that's not who Gohan is. He'd let Goku or Vegeta finish it, or just send Frieza back to hell. Either way, the threat is neutralized in like 10 minutes. Goku would be shocked, maybe a little disappointed he didn't get to fight. Vegeta would be absolutely furious that Gohan handled it so easily. And Gohan, he'd just power down and say something like, "Can we go home now? I was in the middle of a research paper." That's the ultimate Gohan moment right there. This would establish Gohan as Earth's primary defender again, not Goku. And it would mean that Gohan can't just be ignored in future arcs. He's too powerful and too capable. When Beerus and Champa set up the Universe 6 tournament, Gohan would definitely be one of the first picks for the team. Like, Beerus would specifically request him because he knows how strong Gohan is. The team would probably be Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, and then Manaka. During the tournament, Gohan would be used more strategically. Beerus would save him for the stronger opponents because he knows Gohan's versatility with magic and regeneration makes him perfect for tough fights. When it's Gohan's turn to fight, he'd probably go up against Hit or one of the Universe 6 Saiyans. If Gohan fights Kaba, it would be a teaching moment. Gohan would fight in just his ultimate form at first, not even using the Majin powers, and completely dominate Kaba. He'd then help Kaba unlock Super Saiyan, just like Vegeta did in canon, but he'd do it in a more gentle, instructive way. That's more Gohan's style. If Gohan fights Hit, this is where it gets crazy. Hit's time skip is insanely powerful, but Gohan's got regeneration. So even if Hit lands killing blows, Gohan just regenerates. Hit would be frustrated because his assassination techniques don't work on someone who can't die from normal attacks. Gohan would have to figure out Hit's time skip through analysis, which he would eventually do because that's what he does. The fight between Gohan and Hit would probably end in a draw or with Hit barely winning through time skip improvement. But it would establish that Gohan is at the level where he can hang with the top fighters in the multiverse. Goku would still fight Hit last and unlock Kaioken Blue, but Gohan's performance would make everyone take notice. Monaka wouldn't be needed as much in this timeline, because Gohan provides that security blanket of having a super strong fighter. The Universe 7 team would probably win more handily with Gohan at full power participating. Now the future Trunks arc would be really interesting with this version of Gohan. When Trunks shows up warning about Goku Black, Gohan would immediately volunteer to go to the future and help. He'd feel responsible because protecting the future is important, and he's got the power to actually make a difference. In the future timeline, future Gohan died, right? So when our Gohan shows up in the future with all this power, future Trunks would be emotional seeing a version of his mentor who became everything he thought Gohan could be. It would be this really touching moment where Trunks realizes that in another timeline, Gohan did reach his full potential. When they encounter Goku Black, Gohan would fight him alongside Goku and Vegeta. Black would be confused by Gohan's energy because it's not pure Saiyan energy, there's magic mixed in. This might actually mess with Black's ability to copy and adapt since he's used to copying Saiyan techniques, not magic. Gohan's regeneration would also be clutch in this arc because Black and Zamasu have that immortality and regeneration going on. Gohan can match that, which means he can outlast them in extended fights. When Zamasu reveals himself and they fuse into fused Zamasu, Gohan would be critical in the fight. Against fused Zamasu, Gohan's magic abilities might actually be able to hurt him in ways that normal Kai can't. Like, Zamasu's immortality is based on the Super Dragon Ball's wish, which is a different kind of magic than Majin magic. Gohan might be able to use Buu's absorption ability in a creative way, not to absorb Zamasu, but to maybe absorb or nullify some of his techniques. Obviously, Vegito Blue and the Spirit Sword would still be needed to finish things, but Gohan would play a much bigger role in wearing down fused Zamasu. He'd be trading blows with Zamasu while Goku and Vegeta prepare to fuse, buying them time with his regeneration tanking Zamasu's attacks. This arc would also show Gohan's strategic mind. He'd be analyzing Zamasu's fighting style, looking for weaknesses, coordinating with Goku and Vegeta instead of just powering through like they tend to do. It would highlight why having Gohan around makes the team more effective overall. Alright, now we get to the big one, the Tournament of Power. When the tournament is announced, Gohan would be an obvious pick for the team, but there'd be some concern about his abilities. The rules say no killing, and technically Gohan's absorption ability could be seen as similar to killing since it removes someone from existence. Beerus and Wise would have to confirm with the Grand Priest that Gohan can compete. The Grand Priest would probably allow it with the stipulation that Gohan can't use the absorption ability during the tournament. Gohan would agree immediately because he never wanted to use that ability anyway. It's against his morals, but he can still use everything else. The regeneration, the magic attacks, the energy manipulation, all of it. During the preparation phase, Gohan would actually be the one organizing the team. In canon, he did this too, but here he'd have more authority because everyone knows how strong he is. He'd analyze fighters from other universes using whatever information Wise provides, come up with strategies, and assign roles to each team member. The team would probably be Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Android 17, Android 18, Krillin, Tyne, Master Roshi, and Frieza. Gohan would argue for bringing Frieza because Frieza's cunning and power would be useful, plus having another high-tier fighter is crucial. Gohan would also help others train. He'd work with Tyne and Krillin on energy conservation and tactical fighting. He'd work with the androids on team coordination. He'd basically be the tactical leader of Universe 7's team, with Goku being the inspirational leader and Vegeta being the aggressive ace. One interesting thing Gohan would do is try to teach others about magic. Like, he'd work with Piccolo on combining their abilities, Piccolo's Namekian techniques with Gohan's Majin magic. They'd create combo attacks that could surprise enemies. Gohan would be all about preparation and strategy, which is what makes him different from his dad. When the tournament starts, Gohan would be instrumental in protecting the team. His regeneration means he can take hits meant for weaker teammates and just heal through it. He'd be this mobile defender, jumping in to save people when they're about to get knocked out. In the early matches, Gohan would probably fight multiple opponents at once, using his versatility to handle different fighting styles. Against gimmicky fighters like those with poison or special abilities, Gohan's regeneration would hard counter them. Someone tries to poison him. He just regenerates the affected cells. Someone tries to freeze him. He breaks out with Majin magic. There'd be this moment where several fighters from Universe 3 or Universe 4 gang up on Gohan, thinking they can overwhelm him. And Gohan would just tank everything, regenerate, and then systematically knock them all out one by one using different techniques. It would show why having someone with Majin powers is so valuable. He's essentially unkillable by normal means. The other universes would start targeting Gohan specifically because they realize he's a huge threat. The gods of destruction watching would be talking about him, wondering what kind of being he is. Belmont and Quitla would probably tell their fighters to focus on Gohan, trying to knock him out early. But here's the thing, Gohan's smart. He wouldn't just tank everything and waste energy. He'd be conserving power, using his regeneration only when necessary and otherwise fighting efficiently. He'd be coaching his teammates mid-battle, calling out warnings, suggesting strategies. He'd be the glue holding Universe 7 together tactically. Eventually, Gohan would have to face some of the really strong fighters. Let's say he goes up against Dispo from Universe 11. Dispo's whole thing is speed, right? He's faster than almost everyone, but Gohan's got regeneration and magic. Even if Dispo lands 1,000 hits, Gohan just heals. And Gohan would figure out Dispo's pattern because that's what he does. Gohan would eventually trap Dispo using magic, maybe create a barrier or use some technique that restricts movement. Then he'd knock Dispo out with one solid hit. It wouldn't be flashy, but it would be effective. That's Gohan's style. Win efficiently, don't waste energy on showing off. Against Toppo, before Toppo becomes a god of destruction, Gohan would have a really interesting fight. Toppo's all about justice and doing the right thing, which would resonate with Gohan. They'd probably have this mutual respect thing going on even while fighting. Toppo would use his Justice Flash and all his techniques, and Gohan would counter with his own power and magic. The fight would be pretty even until Toppo starts breaking his limits. Then Gohan would have to get more serious, maybe reveal some new technique he developed specifically for the tournament. Something that combines his analytical mind with Majin magic, like a technique that predicts and counters enemy moves automatically. He'd eventually edge out Toppo, but barely, and they'd respect each other afterward. Now when it comes to Jiren, this is the big one. Gohan would definitely want a shot at Jiren, but he'd be smart about it. He wouldn't just rush in like Goku would. He'd observe Jiren's fights first, analyze his patterns, look for any weakness. And when he does fight Jiren, it would be later in the tournament when he's figured some things out. Gohan versus Jiren would be insane. Jiren's pure power is overwhelming, probably stronger than anything Gohan's faced. But Gohan's got tricks. He'd use magic to try to confuse Jiren, he'd use regeneration to tank hits, he'd use his analytical mind to predict Jiren's attacks. For a while, it would look like Gohan might actually have a chance. But then Jiren would get serious and just overpower everything. No amount of magic or regeneration would matter when Jiren's throwing attacks that could obliterate Gohan completely. Gohan would realize that he needs help for this one and would fall back, letting Goku take over. But the fact that Gohan lasted more than a few seconds against serious Jiren would impress everyone. This would lead to Ultra Instinct Goku versus Jiren happening like in canon. But now Gohan would be supporting Goku, using his abilities to create openings or defend Goku when he drops out of Ultra Instinct. Gohan would be crucial in the final fight even if he's not the main fighter. In the final moments of the tournament, when it's down to Universe 7 and Universe 11, Gohan would still be standing alongside Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and maybe Android 17. His stamina from regeneration would mean he's not as exhausted as he would be normally. He'd still have energy to fight. When Goku and Vegeta are down and it's looking bad, Gohan and Frieza would team up against Jiren. This would be such a cool dynamic because Gohan and Frieza have history, but now they have to work together. Frieza would be using his cunning and golden form, while Gohan uses his magic and regeneration. Together, they'd actually pressure Jiren in ways that others couldn't. Android 17 would still be there too, and the three of them, Gohan, Frieza, and 17, would coordinate against Jiren. Gohan would be calling out strategies, 17 would be using his shields and unlimited energy, and Frieza would be looking for dirty tricks. It would be this perfect combination of brains, endurance, and ruthlessness. Goku would still get his final Ultra Instinct transformation and have his climactic battle with Jiren. But when Goku falls and everyone thinks it's over, Gohan would make one last stand. He'd use everything he has, every technique, every bit of magic, and he'd actually manage to hurt Jiren a little. Not beat him, but prove that Universe 7's fighters don't give up. The tournament would end with either Gohan managing to wring out Jiren with help from Frieza and 17, or with Android 17 still getting his heroic moment. Either way, Gohan would be instrumental in the victory, proving that he's not just powerful but essential to the team. After the Tournament of Power, Gohan would be recognized across the multiverse as one of the strongest fighters. The other universes would know about the mortal who merged with Majin Buu and became something unique. Some would fear him, others would respect him, but everyone would acknowledge his power. Gohan's role going forward would be interesting. He'd still want to be a scholar, but he'd accept his role as one of Earth's defenders. He wouldn't be the strongest. Goku with Ultra Instinct and Vegeta with his evolution would still be the top tier. But Gohan would be right there with them, and his unique abilities would make him valuable in ways they aren't. The interesting thing is that Gohan would probably start teaching others. He'd open a dojo or something, teaching people how to fight intelligently, not just powerfully. He'd work with Goten and Trunks, making sure the next generation is prepared. He'd work with Pan, teaching her how to use her potential safely. Gohan would also continue studying his abilities. He'd probably figure out new applications of Majin magic, discover techniques that even Buu never knew about. Maybe he'd learn to partially absorb and release energy in new ways. He'd make the Majin powers into something positive instead of just destructive. And you know what? This is perfect for Gohan's character. He never wanted to be just a fighter. But with these powers, he can protect people, study something fascinating, and still live his life as a scholar and family man. He's not replacing Goku as the main hero. Goku will always be that. But Gohan's found his own path that combines all aspects of who he is. So yeah, that's my take on what would happen if Gohan took control of Majin Buu from the inside. It's honestly one of the most op scenarios I've thought of, but it works for Gohan's character. He'd be this perfect combination of power, intelligence, and morality, Basically what every hero should be. The power scaling would be insane. It would change pretty much every arc going forward, and Gohan would finally get the recognition he deserves as the strongest Z fighter. Not because he trained the most or because he's the most aggressive, but because he's the smartest and the most determined when it matters. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Would this version of Gohan be too op? How do you think he'd handle different villains and situations? What would you call this form? Drop your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this what-if scenario, make sure to like and subscribe. I've got more crazy Dragon Ball theories coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.